Hey everybody, this is Mike Anderson with Collision Advice. I'm here with my great friend Danny with the DEG, and we're working with SERS to bring you a series of quick tips that will help you to boost your business. So today we're going to talk about sound deadening. First of all, Danny, I was in a shop recently, and as I was walking through the shop, I noticed the technician was replacing a rear body panel. And what happened is when it got hit in the rear end, it kind of damaged the trunk floor a little bit. It was absolutely repairable, nothing that shouldn't have not been repaired,
Yeah.
right? And so what happened was I noticed that the technician was having to remove the sound deadening pad in order to repair the trunk floor. Now, for those of you that have never had to do that before, I think every estimator should have to remove at least one sound deadening pad in their life, right? It takes some type of heat source, like a heat inductor or a heat gun, to remove it. So I'm sure that you'll figure that out on your own. So removing a damaged sound deadening pad is not included. But what we're here to talk today about is the replacement process, right? So first of all, when it comes to replacing floor sound deadening or any type of sound deadening, because there could be sound deadening pads on a package tray,
Right.
there could be sound deadening pads like on the an outer wheelhouse or even an apron, right? So again, sound deadening, just like it sounds, is made to deaden the sound and make the vehicle have a quieter ride. But what we need to understand is that when it comes to replacing the sound deadening, we have to first of all figure out where is sound deadening at in the vehicle, where's it located at, and number two is what type of sound deadening material does that specific OEM manufacturer use? Because that's going to dictate both our labor cost as well as our material costs. So starting this off, before I turn it over to Danny, is that sound deadening, removal or replacement labor for sound deadening pads is never included, or for something called liquid applied sound deadening. So Danny, take it away. Sound deadening sounds so simple, but yet very complex.
Definitely, Mike. And again, all three systems define it as a non-included operation as well as a material cost. And most commonly, I think as an industry, we're all used to seeing something like this, like a sheet. And some of these may come already pre-cut from the manufacturer with a specific part number for that specific area. Otherwise, you may have to buy a square sheet like this, which may be generic or even from the manufacturer itself, and you have to cut it out and make it fit, fabricate it to fit the vehicle that you're working on. As time evolved, we went into the liquid applied sound deadening, and you may see like a two-part type product like this, where you have to apply it on there and then recreate the texture by using some kind of brush, comb, or even be creative and just to replicate that.
Right, to make it look like it's supposed to, right?
Exactly, and we'll commonly see that in like the trunk floor of like a Toyota, where they have like the streaks and it's a very wide bead, and you're thinking like, what kind of nozzle would dispense that? So as that evolved with technology, more and more manufacturers, they went and they developed a product like this, which may use like a specialized equipment gun, which is supplied by the manufacturer, which uses a specific OEM product, and there's a specific setup that you have to go and involve to set it up and replicate that appearance by creating a texture matching. You see, so this thing looks like a weapon here, but in reality, this is actually replicating the robot that they use in the factory. But it still requires a lot of work.
And that's pneumatic, right?
It's all pneumatic, and it still requires a lot of work to set the regulator pressure. You can see right here, there's different settings right here, and you have to adjust it. And then also you have to put in the product after you've heated it up to a certain temperature. And then when you start testing it out, keep in mind you're dispensing product onto a test panel, and then before you've even applied it on the vehicle.
And that's, in a way, it's waste, but it's necessary in order to get the gun going and to match the texture.
Exactly. And think about this. It's a pneumatic piece of equipment that dispenses a product out of a nozzle. So think about if it's spraying, what additional considerations you have to do, such as like masking of the areas that you don't want this to go on, because this could create a mess, into some other areas. So really important to reference the OEM specific repair information, see what specific products are being used. Is it like a pre-cut, like a sound deadening pad? Is like it a two-part, or if it's required, OEM specific product. And also consider not just, the application, but also the setup required, that you have to purge out the cartridge, you have to test it out, and think about the waste material. And also when you're all done, the cleanup and disposal of some of these liquid products, and check with your EPA, your local EPA, to make sure you're disposing it properly.
Yeah, so in summary, ladies and gentlemen, let's just kind of recap this, right? If you ever have a sound deadening pad that you have to remove from a panel in order to repair it, or even to do like a welding operation, that is never included, the labor time. Number two is when it comes to replacing sound deadening, again, we may have an application that's like this where it's either pre-cut or maybe we actually have to trace and make a template and a pattern and cut it. Some of these have an adhesive back on the back. Sometimes you have to spray like a glue adhesive, right? So this would be one type of sound deadening. And again, we may have something like this where we have to use what's called liquid applied sound deadening, often referred to in the home repair procedures as LASD, liquid applied sound deadening. That's much more labor intensive, much more expensive. So it's important you research in the home repair procedures as to what type of sound deadening material your technician has to take and replace. Lastly, just a couple other considerations. There may be masking operations required in order to protect the adjacent panels. That would also be another area that you would have to think about as far as a non-included operation. So something sounds so simple, sound deadening, but actually very complex in regards to how we're going to write and document all that on a repair plan. So listen, we hope you enjoyed today's quick tip. Thanks for joining us.